Hey guys, what's going on? It's Cody Steck. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're talking about the 2022 housing market report that they just put out from the Board of Realtors here in Utah. So this information is going to be really helpful to give us an idea of where things are going in the year 2022. This is an official report put out by a lot of people who look at the macroeconomic scale of what's happening with real estate here in Utah. And we're going to talk about some questions. I'm going to add some commentary along the way and just kind of give you an overview of what this report says so that you can get a better sense of what's going on here in Utah. So let's jump into things here really quick and take a look at this. So as you can see, housing forecast executive report. This is put out by the Salt Lake Board of Realtors. Now, this says the 2021 Utah housing market will be long remembered for its record-breaking price increases. Statewide, housing prices increased by 27%, shattering the 43-year-old record of 20.1% set in 1978. That's pretty amazing. So I've got some notes here. I'm just kind of going to go through the whole report and point out these different areas that I've highlighted. That way we can just kind of save on time and really hit the most important things here in this report. So you can see that record prices increases were not confined to Wasatch Front counties. Nearly every county in the state saw record increases. So no matter where you're moving to, every single one saw record increases. Nearly, anyway. 24 of Utah's 29 counties had double-digit gains. So that means that almost all of them were up at least 10%, if not more. Which is really important information because the market has just gone absolutely bonkers over the past, year, 2 years even. Since COVID hit, really, it's just been a rapid price increase. As the data shows in Figure 1, Utah is subject to a rapid acceleration in housing prices. In 1994 and again in 2006, the state led the country in housing price increases. This is pretty interesting that it's happened twice before. In 1978, was near the top state. In 2021, Utah ranked second behind Idaho. So Utah and Idaho saw the highest numbers of year-over-year growth and led the country in housing price increases. And you can see here on this graph here, we've got a little dip right here, a big shoot up here in the early to mid 90s. Another shoot up here right before the Great Recession when prices were down drastically, quarter over quarter for I think it was like 13 quarters or something like that during this time period here. And then it's kind of gone up, been a little bit flat, relatively speaking, right? It's still increasing quarter over quarter, but you can see here that over just the past year or two that the price increases have gone astronomical. I mean, 27% increase in 1 year is just absolutely insane. So we're going to talk about some more information here about is there a bubble? What's going to happen with the market? What's going on? Is this sustainable? So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the report. So make sure to stick around until we get to that section here. But yeah, I mean, just look at this graph. It's literally straight up. We've never seen that before in any of these other graphs. It's, kind of a steady climb over a period of time here, steady climb over a period of time, and then came back down. And again here, kind of a steady climb over these, 4, 5, 6 years right here in this time frame. So for this to just kind of be, actually coming down just slightly and then shoot up like that is, pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and jump over here. Right here, housing prices in the Salt Lake metropolitan area are higher than 87% of all metropolitan areas. I wanted to highlight this because I think this is important to keep in mind that, Salt Lake, the reality is now is that it's not the cheapest place to live anymore. I mean, yes, we do have a low cost of living when it comes to your day-to-day expenses, utilities or gas. Gas is about average, but utilities or groceries or stuff like that, it is pretty affordable when it comes to that. But as far as housing goes, I mean, we're in the top, we are higher than 87% of all other major metropolitan areas. So something to just keep in mind there. If you're making a move here, it's really got to be because you love the lifestyle. Maybe you've got a great job opportunity. Maybe you've got family. So, it is going to be a little bit more expensive than it was in years past, but that's just the reality of what we're looking at. All right, let's come down here a little bit and talk about this. So housing prices and the windfall of wealth. Wealth in a capitalist economy is created by innovation, creating new products and learning, a deepening human capital. That is, in most cases. Owning real estate in a high-growth market is an obvious exception to this textbook theory of wealth creation. In 2021, Utah's 700,000 homeowners realized an increase in the home equity wealth of at least $82 billion. Wealth was not created by developing a new product or learning a new skill, but rather by simply paying the monthly mortgage. This is so important, guys, because literally, I preach this here on the channel. owning real estate is one of the best ways to build long-term wealth. Literally, like it just said here, you just pay your monthly mortgage and you know, over time will build wealth. That's why so many people have gotten extremely wealthy from just holding real estate. So, I mean, it's just obvious here. You know, you got to get in, you got to get started. In contrast, the 300,000 renter households in Utah had no increase in wealth from real estate at least, and faced double-digit increases in rent. So rents have gone up, they haven't built any wealth, and unfortunately, you know, the renters are the ones who suffer, whereas the homeowners and the landlords are the ones who, you know, prosper from that. That's just the reality of the situation in a capitalist economy. Coming down here, is the increase in housing prices slowing down? There's no sign yet of a slowdown. This is information that is really important because you can see here, over the last little bit, this is starting in January of 2020, you can see that prices, you know, did dip right here in May, right as COVID started to hit, and then it started to climb rapidly and continued to accelerate. So as you're looking at this information here, year over year, the increase is substantial. I mean, you're 26.7% above year over monthly increase. But I mean, you can see here, like, let's just take July, right? July, you're sitting right here at roughly 9%. Well, in the following July, you were at roughly 25%. So a huge increase there, and there's no sign yet of a slowdown coming. So that's important information to kind of keep in mind. Now, the most important question that I know everybody's going to have about this scenario, especially if you're trying to get into the market or if you're just looking at real estate, you know, does Utah have a housing bubble? Right before we talk about this, guys, if you're enjoying this content, give me a thumbs up here on the video. If you're liking this content, share this video with a friend or a family member who's also thinking about making a move to Utah, or maybe already lives in Utah. Share this information with them, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and reach out to me if you're thinking about making that move here. I've had people from all across the world reach out, and I absolutely love it. So call, text, or email anytime. I'd love to have a chat with you about the type of home and lifestyle you're looking for here in Utah. All right. Without further ado, let's jump into this. So does Utah have a housing bubble? Now, I really wanted to confirm, or just highlight, I should say, one section here that is really important when it comes to this. It gives you a little bit of back history. I don't want to go into all of that personally. If you want, you can pause the video right here and, you know, read that. But the thing that I found was most important is that it says, from the historical data, it appears that a housing bubble with its extended price decline must be associated with a substantial loss in jobs. For Utah to experience a housing bubble in the near term, it would require a loss of jobs, an unlikely prospect in the next few years. So Utah is expanding very rapidly. There's a lot of jobs here. There's a lot of high-paying jobs as well, and that's what's bringing people into the state. At the very core level, that's what's bringing them in, or it's also what's keeping them here in the first place, right? Utah has a lot of kids. As those kids grow up, you know, education is very highly favored here, so those people generally have very good education and are going to obtain those high-paying jobs. So with that said, you know, if we don't have that loss of jobs, then it's very unlikely that Utah will be in a housing bubble. The other half of the bubble that they didn't talk about here that I wish they had is that, you know, it really comes down to supply and demand. In the 2006-2007 crash, what happened was there was way too much inventory in the market and they couldn't make sales, right? Eventually, everybody was getting in. And then eventually the builders said, hey, we have so much inventory, let's just sell everything. And it flooded the market with too much supply when there wasn't enough demand. And this is what caused prices to drop rapidly. Now, if there is a supply and demand, you know, equilibrium, or if the demand for housing outpaces supply specifically, then it's incredibly unlikely that there will also be a crash or a bubble until that reverses, right? If you have people who are demanding housing, who want, you know, to live here in the state, who potentially have the incomes to be able to afford these houses, then this is something that's, you know, you have to keep in mind, is that as long as that demand outpaces the supply, it's incredibly unlikely that there will be a crash or a housing bubble. So I think this is kind of evidence here that I don't think there's going to be a crash. And, you know, this is kind of supporting that information, at least for the next 2 to 3 years. I don't think there's going to be a crash. I think, sure, prices could level off, right? We might see the price increases drop just slightly, maybe even go a little bit flat. Who knows? You know, 2 to 3 years out. I don't want to make those types of projections. You know, I don't have the crystal ball, but you know, at least for the next 1 to 2 years, the market's going to be hot, and we'll have to see what happens with interest rates. We're going to talk about that here in just a sec. But yeah, you know, it's important information to really look at. Before we move on, guys, I've been hearing this for years and years and years. Way back here when people are, you know, trying to buy houses here, oh, it's going to crash soon. I'm going to wait. I'm trying to get into the market. Usually that's honestly an excuse that either they don't want to pull the trigger, or realistically, they're just not in a financial situation to be able to buy a house at that point in time, right? So the reality is that using the excuse of like, oh, we're in a bubble or prices are high, well, prices are high, but saying, hey, prices are too high, I'm going to wait till they come down. That is really dangerous thinking, in my opinion, because you do miss out, right? It goes back to that same thing right over here, where if you're a homeowner, you get to capitalize on some of that growth. Whereas if you're a renter, you don't capitalize on any of it. So if you're not yet in the market, then highly consider doing it. All right, coming down here, let's jump over here to the left side again. Utah is the only state since 1900 where the homeownership rate has never fallen below 60%. I thought this was a pretty interesting fact. The homeownership rate here in Utah is extremely high, and it looks like, as far as, it doesn't explicitly say this, but I'm just going to kind of interpret it as, hey, we're probably one of the highest homeownership rate states in the whole United States. So that's pretty cool. I just thought that was a nice little figure there. Assuming a debt to income ratio of 36%, the income required to buy the median priced home increased from $58,100 in 2015 to $101,400 in 2021. This is a massive increase in the required income in order to be able to purchase housing here in Utah. And, I mean, it's just the reality of it, guys. I don't know what to say necessarily other than, this is kind of why you got to, earn a higher income and kind of pursue those skills to make that possible. So fortunately for everybody who's above that income, they should ideally be able to at least afford the median price home. Anybody below that, it's going to be difficult. That's just the reality of it. Again, I don't see a crash coming. So it's just something you got to work on getting income up, saving money, going through that whole route there. All right, coming down here, this is a little bit interesting. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Although sales have been stable, the growth in commissions has been spectacular, driven primarily by the rising value of homes. This talks a little bit about the commissions for real estate agents, obviously, because it's a percentage as prices go up, percentage or the commissions also go up as well. So this talks about that a little bit here in this section. I'm going to jump down here and talk a little bit more about the residential real estate sales, which are associated with that. So this says here, you can look at this information from the year of 2015 to the year of 2021. We've been hovering in that 17 to 19,000 home sales range. And that's a problem. You can see my note here. We need more sales. I'm not sure why this isn't happening. A little typo there, with more housing units. And I said see above. So I wanted to come back up here. Look at the number of housing units that we've got right here. Total housing units in 2000 was 311,000. Now we're just looking at that 2015 year number, which we don't have, but 2010 was 365. So let's say that 2015 was like 385, 390, somewhere in there, right? Let's just guess, because there wasn't a ton of construction going on at that time. We're still in that recession. So let's just say that by 2015, it picked up a little bit. We're at 385, 390, somewhere in there. Well, between 390 and 433, as you can see here in 2020, that's an additional 40,000 units that are in the market for Salt Lake County. So we've got 40,000 additional units, but this is really a problem that we're not seeing sales go up. As we have more inventory, we should be seeing the sales numbers go up, right? We should be seeing 20,000, 21,000 sales. Even these small increases are really important because it provides liquidity into the market. It gives the ability for more people to buy homes, more people to sell homes, because now they have something to move into. So, this is kind of a problem that we're not seeing a ton of home sales. I think, some of it could be because we have a lot of people who are wanting to stay and not wanting to move, right? They don't want to move out of state. They don't want to leave. They don't want to change houses or whatever. Maybe it's prices. Prices have gone up a lot. And so let's say you own a $400,000 home. Well, you might be looking at a $600,000 home to upgrade to, and maybe it's just out of your price range, right? Because it's just too expensive at this point. So I think that's what we're seeing, but nevertheless, this is a problem. We should be seeing more sales over time. So it's a little bit concerning that in 2021, it was so low because as that supply is still low, that's unfortunately going to mean that demand is even higher, and that's going to push prices even higher. All right, talks a little bit about commissions there. Again, we're going to skip that. Forecast for 2022, high prices, likely interest rate increases, listing shortages, and a lower rate of job growth will combine to hold sales in Salt Lake County to around 17,000 units in 2022. So this is the exact same information that we were just talking about over here. They're expecting that home sales in 2022 will even be a little bit lower than 2021. We're falling right back down to 2015 year numbers. And that's really concerning to me. I think we need to see the number of home sales come up. And I don't know what the solution is to that necessarily, but I do know that it is needed in this market. Over here, and finally, two sides of the price coin. Existing homeowners will benefit again from strong price increases, but homeownership for future generations will become less likely, producing greater inequality and diminished wealth for these households. Yeah, this is true. I made another note here. You just have to get started, guys. I see this so many times. I see a lot of first-time home buyers who are unwilling to buy a condo or townhome or house in their range. You know, maybe something you have to compromise on a little bit because I don't know why. They're just unwilling to compromise and get started. But like that's the foundation, right? If you're a first-time home buyer, you just have to get into the market. You have to get started because it becomes a lot easier to build wealth, build your income, and go through that process of actually having some money to work with when it comes to upgrading to that second house or to that third house. Once you're in the market, it gets a lot easier, I promise you. So if you're just getting in, you have to get started. If you already own real estate, or if you're in a financial situation where you're fortunate enough to have the income and everything else, then you're going to be in an amazing spot. You're going to be able to build some incredible wealth here in Utah over the coming years, and that's something I'm really excited about personally. So just get in the market, just get started, buy a condo, buy a townhome, buy whatever you can just to get in the market and get started. The price momentum will trend lower. Like I said, prices will kind of flatten out, right? I still think they'll go up, but they're not going to go like this. They're going to go kind of more like that. But another year of double-digit increases is likely. This is a rough table based on what we think, what these guys think the interest rate will be throughout this year. So in that mid 3.5% range seems to be pretty likely. Now, as we come down here, that's the end of the article here. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, give me a thumbs up here on the channel or on the video itself. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to learn more about what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, and play here along the Wasatch Front, then make sure to do that. And don't forget to reach out to me if you're thinking about making a move here, or you already live here in Utah, you want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. I would love to help you. I've had people all over the world reach out to help with their real estate service, with their real estate needs and my services, and I'd love to help you as well. Call, text, or email anytime, and let's have a chat about the type of home and lifestyle you're looking for. With that said, catch you guys in the next one.